Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. What the heck happened to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? Now, I saw some images of this on like Facebook, I think, and I thought it was like AI or something. But then now everyone's reporting on this. Dwayne "The Rock" has turned into Dwayne the Empty Sock Johnson. What the heck? I guess this proves that it's what's on the inside that counts, right? Now, people are making jokes about this, but in all seriousness, here's what's going on. I grew up in an era where a person who used steroids was considered to be dishonorable. There was, this was during the era of like doping in sports and things like this. And roids were pretty much compared to cheating in sports. That's kind of the oldest ideas that I had about this when I was growing up, because roids was essentially amounted to cheating. But then over the next couple decades, then we saw the rise of obscure, illegitimate sports that basically provided a gray area for those people who wanted to wear the roids persona. They weren't too heavily scrutinized, and everyone kind of forgot about the use of steroids. Also, over the last several decades, we've seen steroids become safer in some ways, in the short term anyway. And we also had the surge of social media influencers. And of course, in today's day and age, appearance is everything. Social media influencers that were on the steroids, because men and women alike who take the steroids can gather a following, can't they? And then they can sell them back everything except the secret steroids that they used, right? That they didn't admit to until later. The Liver King is one such example. Made all his money telling people to eat raw meat. And then come to find out he was on roids, and that's why he looks like this, not because he was eating all this raw meat. So these influencers, they sell the workout regimens, the protein drinks, the personal training and consultation, but it's all a lie. Now, it's really quite alarming where we've come to in this point in the world, right? Entire empires built on lies. So Dwayne the Sock, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this. He goes off his cycle for a few months, shrinks back into Bruce Banner, and everybody freaks out. And I can't even think of anything else that would make sense about this. I mean, this is just what happens when you don't take the steroids anymore. They're comparing him to Al Roker. Pretty crazy, you guys. So there's such a thing as fitness, and then there's such a thing as vanity. And vanity will lead to a pretty short and painful life. We saw Hulk Hogan in his transformation, trying to keep up the image of Hulk Hogan well into his older years. And there is some discussion and debate about how he died, but we do know that he was in a lot of pain and his heart was under a lot of pressure. We're going to get into some other stories today. And at the end of the show, I'm actually going to play about 9 of the victims from Epstein that have come forward. They're going to do a full-blown press conference, but they did do a panel discussion. We're going to watch that at the end of today's show after we get through some of these headlines. Good morning, everybody. Is that a trip or what? Because here's the thing. You can only maintain the persona for so long. There's only so long your body can take the roids, and you have to go off the cycle. And when you do, it's obvious to everybody how you got to where you were. And when I was talking about these obscure sports to where it was like allowed, one of them, of course, is WWF, which then became WWE. And this was just normal. What's weird is back then during the WWF and WWE, nobody talked about the fact that most of these wrestlers were using steroids. And so here's the thing. What they did is they created a false narrative to the children. And even though they were all about health and fitness, Hulk Hogan was talking to children about health and fitness, it was all a lie. Because in order for them to look like him, they would also have to go on steroids, right? So the whole thing was a big facade and a big lie because they cheated. That's what it amounts to, is cheating. Well, let's get into some of these other stories. If you haven't heard by now, Alex Turncoat Jones continues to reveal his true colors. He is now firing employees that dare to speak out against Trump. Wow, this guy's the latest. Let's listen to this guy.
Calling me a pessimist and all this other stuff, which is fine. You work for Alex, you're going to get hit with it a lot. Alex is not easy to work for, and that's fine. That's okay. But, okay, he says I'm too negative. He says I'm a pessimist, whatever. I'm too anti-Trump. So I just said, all right, you know what? I'll just take some time off.
This guy almost talks like Alex Jones, doesn't he? That's so weird. He's like Alex Jones mini-me. Let's keep listening.
I'll just disappear. And if Alex thinks I'm too negative, then maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Maybe I'm too negative now. Maybe I'm too much of a pessimist now. Maybe I'm too...
What is so creepy? Okay, does this guy sound like Alex Jones? What do you guys think? Now, people tell me, oh, you sound like all these other channels. I'm like, no, I don't. I got kind of a California accent. I don't sound like these people. Well, that definitely, I don't know if the guy has the same mic settings. I don't know, but that's super weird, isn't it? Let's keep listening to this guy. See what he has to say. So he's the guy that got kicked off of Alex Jones. Now, this could all just be semantics and smoke and mirrors, right? They could be creating this drama to basically create a template to show people what happens if you don't get behind Donald Trump. You'll be fired. Okay, so that could be the drama behind this.
Too anti-Trump now, whatever his issue was when he kept coming in the show, telling me I'm too negative, saying I'm a pessimist on his show. I said, okay, maybe he's right. I'll take some time off. I'll blow off some steam. I'll just get out of the ring for a week. And, maybe I'll come back a little more positive. And maybe there was a level of reality to that. And I think I did come back more positive. But
anyway, enough of that. Owen Schroyer. So got fired for being too anti-Trump. So now Alex Jones has showed his true colors. Every once in a while, I'll get a comment in the comment section. Someone telling me I have Trump derangement syndrome, but that's old. People know that that's getting old and ridiculous. Trump has also shown his true colors. Now, here's another opportunist in the news. Snoop Dogg can't quite make his mind up about things. First, he pretends to unalive President Trump in a music video, the Lavender music video. And then years later, just before Trump is reelected, he apologizes. And then he votes for him. Then he gets invited to the White House party by Trump and performs. Then he goes after this animated film that had LGBTQ themes that he thought was inappropriate for his children, and rightfully so. I agree with him on this. But then now they're saying he apologized for feeling that way. Or did he? Because now they're saying that the apology wasn't really from him. You guys, we live in the age of chaos magic. I've never seen anything like this. This flip-flopping going on over and over again. Flip-flopping by prominent people. Back and forth and back and forth. You can't take them at their word. You don't know what their true sentiment is. And it's got to be chaos magic. I don't ever remember any time in history where I saw someone, go back on something that they said or did or whatever so many times in a short period of time. Let's read this. Snoop Dogg's rep says apology for controversial Lightyear comments is fake. Was not written by the rapper. Rapper drew backlash for saying he felt scared to go to the movies after having to address Pixar film's LGBTQ representation with his grandson. Despite the wave of backlash Snoop Dogg earned for his controversial remarks, the rapper is not responsible for the apology that's been circulating social media. So now we don't even know it's real anymore. He's saying that the apology was generated from somewhere else, and he didn't apologize for his comments. So, weird times we're living in. Now, here's another tech billionaire bragging about how we will have nothing to do. There will be no more jobs. We'll be at the complete mercy of governments in 5 years because there's going to be no way to make money anymore. Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff says his company has cut 4,000 customer service jobs as AI steps in. I need less heads, he says. Wow. Now, what's crazy about this, a lot of people were doing these customer service jobs, phone jobs, call centers. All that's being replaced right now. This guy, Mark Benioff. Unbelievable. Now, Elon, these guys sure are confident, aren't they? They sure are confident about the future. Elon says, who cares if his Tesla sales are in the toilet? Because he's got a whole army of Optimus Prime robots that he says will represent 80% of Tesla's value. What? As EV sales continue to plummet, Elon Musk says Optimus robots will make up 80% of Tesla's value despite production delays. So they're confident. Now, ready for this one? Now, this one angered me. Trump is, he's warp speed at everything else. Everything else he gets done. Boom, boom, boom. He can take over cities. He's been firing, they've fired federal employees across the board. The whole technology surge. He's getting that done, isn't he? Forcing the tariffs, which is raising our cost of goods. Except he's slow as molasses at rehiring the 8,000 brave men and women who stood their ground against tyranny and refused the smack the nation. Now, on paper, he says, we're going to hire these people back. But only 13 of 8,000 have been hired back. So, says one thing, does another. And they haven't gone after the people who forced it on them. They haven't been fired. Now, people could say, oh, well, it was Biden that made him do that. Okay, fine. But this is unbelievable. Frustration is boiling over among some members of the military community who are unhappy with the Pentagon's process for reinstating service members discharged under Biden for failing to be smack-the-nated, saying the process is too slow and the criteria for who can rejoin too narrow. Now, they probably knew this when they fired them, right? They probably knew it was going to be too hard to rehire them for one reason or another. Maybe the soldier has moved on with life. Maybe their life has already been destroyed by getting kicked out of the military. Maybe they're on to other things. Maybe they woke up to the lie. Like, who knows? But regardless, a lot more than 8,000 should have been rehired, right? Exasperation over the process has been on full display in heated public exchanges on social media with Trump administration officials in the Pentagon. These folks who are trying to restore their service have been gaslit and lied to for months and months by the administration. So there you go. This is Sam Shoemate, a former Army officer who has been outspoken about the impact of the mandate, the Smack the Nation mandate. Other critics are angry. Action is not being taken against military commanders up and down the chain of command who enforced the mandate when it was required. The online conversation around the reinstatement process has prompted responses from senior Pentagon officials in recent weeks. This person gets tagged every day with post questioning when commanders at every level of the military will be thrown in jail for illegally enforcing the Smack the Nation. That's not going to happen, Scheller said in the post. Time to move forward. That seems to be the theme, right? Let's just move forward. The tensions could come to a head on Wednesday in a closed-door meeting hosted by the Pentagon by the Office of Personnel and Readiness with 10 individuals. Scheller identified as being a mix of voluntary, involuntary COVID separations, and who can speak out about the concerns for the COVID refusal population. Pentagon spokesperson said that the Pentagon remains committed to doing right by these service members who were separated as a result of the mandate. We are eager to welcome them back to the force. No, they're not. So down here, they talk about only 13. It's unclear how many people have rejoined up until now. The Pentagon said in June that as of May, only 13 people had come back to service under the new policy of the more than 8,000 discharged. Wow. Now, I guess you could say this is a good thing that they didn't get taken back. But for all the wrong reasons, right? I don't agree with the military, but I stand behind the soldiers who make the decision usually for the right reasons, but then they wake up to the lie and they come out of it and they're like, whoa, what just happened? Now, are you ready for this? We said a couple days ago, didn't we, that Trump would carry out controlled strikes against Venezuela. Remember we talked about this? We said, oh, he probably won't do a ground invasion. It's going to be something like we saw in Iran. Well, lo and behold, he actually ended up striking a vessel in the Caribbean, claiming that it was Trendagua, and they killed 11 and that they were smuggling drugs. So this is the first strike. I mean, these people's playbook is so easy to read. It's obvious at this point. It's going to be the same thing. They're just going to pick off different sites, boats, things like this. They may do some strikes inside Venezuela's borders and things like this. Now, we had just exposed this whole drug excuse thing the other day because it's just a cover story. It's just an excuse. They're not really there to fight drugs because Venezuela sends almost no cocaine to America compared to Colombia and even Ecuador, which is a small country, sends a lot more cocaine to America. Yet our destroyers aren't parked off the coast of Colombia or Ecuador, are they? They're parked off of Venezuela, which sends maybe 5 to 10% of the cocaine to the U.S. So I don't know what's going on, you guys. Weird. Now, here's this. Trump was supposed to make this announcement, and everybody thought it was about his health, but it's not. It's about the Defense Department. So I got this story pulled up. But everybody's wondering what the heck is going on with Epstein. Now, let's get into these victims. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 victims came forward. Here they are on a panel. We're going to play this panel for the remainder of the show today. And apparently they're set to speak in front of like Congress or the steps of the White House or something and do some kind of interview. But here's the thing, you guys. Anything short of dozens of prominent names being mentioned and details as to exactly what their part was in these victims. And also, we need a definitive yes or no answer about Trump, not coerced by some legal gag orders or threats or anything like that. They need to speak plainly and clearly and tell us exactly if or how Trump was involved. You know, part of our legal system, part of the failure of our legal system is that you can't say certain things about people, even if it really happened to you. Now, all that has to be done in court. And if you say it publicly, it could be slander, right? So these people have been threatened. Some of them have signed agreements to where they can't talk about certain things in exchange for maybe some kind of payout. Our legal system is set up to benefit the rich, to pay their way out of any kind of punishment. So I have a feeling this is just going to be one more cover up. I haven't listened to this interview yet, but we need details, don't we? We need details. Anything short of details is just a waste of time. Now, they've already politicized this. Of course, they've politicized this as a conspiracy against Trump. And that's why they've got the victims coming out on MSNBC instead of Fox News. Fox News doesn't appear to care about the victims. They've politicized this so that the people on the right will dismiss this as a political hit piece against Trump, who actually quietly believe that Trump is getting the job done. I sat down and I had to think about this the other day. I was like, why aren't the people on the right upset with Trump with everything that's happening? Well, this is why. They feel as though he's getting the job done against those evil illegals. And Trump is making no apologies for our place in the world, and we like his boldness. This is what people are quietly feeling. They might not come out and say it, but they're feeling this way because they've been programmed by decades of being beat by the left. The whole thing is a setup. We got beat up by the left for decades. They ran right through the right. Our children had to go to school with flip-floppers. We can't even take our kids to the library. The illegals are everywhere. They have whole neighborhoods and supermarkets. Do you see now that all this was by design? So now that Trump is giving the appearance of fixing everything, even though he's really not fixing everything, people are quietly actually happy. They're happy he's sending troops to these cities. Because I couldn't figure it out for a while. I was befuddled. I was like, aren't people outraged about this? If the left was doing this, they'd be outraged. Nope. The right-left paradigm is firmly entrenched. And even longtime truthers are quietly happy about most of what Trump's doing. Stick it to the other countries. They need to pay their fair share of the tariffs, right? They don't even care if they're paying more for all of their stuff in their life. They just don't care. They're just happy they won, no matter how it happens. It's the long con by the dawn. So, I got one more story before we play this clip from the victims. Now, look at this. Trump says his video showing items thrown from the White House is artificial intelligence. But this is after his team indicated that it was real. So I don't know if you guys heard about this, but they saw some items being thrown out the window. So creepy. A black bag, some kind of like white cord or something. A long white item was tossed out of the east side. Trump blamed it on AI, saying the creation of fake videos was one of the downsides of technology. Do you see that this is why they brought the AI to bear as a weapon to muddy the waters and to absolve them of their crimes. Anything caught on video, anything like this, any pictures, they can always just say, oh, that's AI generated. And our experts will determine if it's AI generated or not your experts. I mean, there are ways to probably verify if something has been altered, but they'll say, oh, our experts say it's AI. And so no one will ever get in trouble again because there's no proof anymore, is there? Very hard to prove a case when there's no video evidence or photographic evidence that can be definitively ruled out, right? So here we are, you guys. Okay, let's get into this video here.
Tonight, as you can see, just really within the last couple of hours, I sat down exclusively with the biggest group of survivors, including a woman who has never got together at the same time. Some of these people had never met each other before, including a woman who has never before come forward to share her story about the abuse she says she faced at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. I want to play for you now my conversation with these individuals.
Red flag number one. Why is this all based on Epstein and what he did or didn't do, and we're not hearing about Ghislaine Maxwell or Trump? Those are the glaring questions that everybody wants to know.
Hearing for the very first time right here on NBC News Now.
And notice there are men. There are a couple of men involved. So this was, wow.
A show of hands here. If you or somebody you love was abused or trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. All of you. So given that, you are here together, the 9 of you in this room, in this, what feels like a show of solidarity. Why? Why did you decide to come here today? Jess?
I'm coming here because there's been a severe miscarriage of justice, a delay in accountability, and we've all come together beautifully and tragically, which feels healing and devastating all at the same time, to speak out and to be fueled by each other's voices in a way that I don't know that we've had the opportunity to in the past.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. Yeah. I'm here for the same reasons, but for me, the most important thing is accountability. My whole mission is to get somebody, or the majority of the people, to be held accountable for what they did and what we've all been suffering through for the last, 15, 20 years.
Marika, you're somebody who has spoken publicly about your experience before. Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you to be sitting alongside 8 other people in telling your story and in being here?
Today, I didn't think I would be here 6 years later from when I was here in 2019. I guess I just like...
So far, it's a big nothing sandwich. You see the problem with our justice system? Why can't they speak freely?
To say that, I'm sorry, it's always a bit nerve-wracking to speak on camera like this, but I just want to say that the government has failed us. Maria Farmer reported this in 1996, and now there's a pending lawsuit where hopefully there will be some accountability.
Yeah. Jenna-Lisa, how about you?
I'm here once again speaking.
So imagine you come to an interview and you're given a list of all the things you can't talk about. That's what's happening here, you guys.
Speaking our truth, and kind of beside myself that we're even having to do this again because they never did what they should have done in the beginning. So now here we are having to do interviews like this to get our voices out there because they didn't just listen to us the first time we said it.
That must feel frustrating.
Extremely.
Yeah. The idea of repeating, having to do this again and again. Did you ever think you'd have to?
No.
A bunch of empty questions. Now, here's the other thing I'm picking up on. I don't know if you guys are picking up on this as well. They're framing this as subjective accusations that can't be confirmed. That's the way it's coming across, even though there was probably evidence in these cases where they were talking about exactly what happened. They showed documentation. None of that is being talked about. It's just, oh, this happened to me and you need to believe me. And I believe these people, but they're not doing a good job in this interview of showing that aspect of the proof of all of this happening.
In 2019, when I spoke up and went public on what had happened to me in 2003 at 14 years old was something that I should have never had to have done in my life. It should have been taken care of and handled from the beginning and been investigated properly too.
And what happened to you? We want to know.
So we wouldn't have had to be at this point, I should have never had to put my face on camera so that someone would listen to me.
I want to first get to Sky and Amanda and Danny, who are here representing your sister, Virginia Giuffre. Danny, what message does it send to be here with this group in this, what, as Liz described, this almost show of strength?
She should be here. I am so honored to be here with with you guys.
Oh, so this is Regina Jeffrey's brother, so not a victim, but here to, represent her, which we know she didn't unalive herself. Everybody knows. These people are getting picked off and killed, you guys. This is a cover up. Trump is involved. We're one of the only channels staying on this in terms of to keep talking about it. And slowly, even the truth community is moving past all this. Nothing's going to happen. People have died.
She would be here. She'd be screaming, And I think, they said it best. It's like, if I could really say what we're looking for out of this is justice, looking for accountability. And I think it's, we really have to start questioning, what do we stand for? So, it means the world to be here with you, all of you. And, I think this is only the beginning of what's really to come, because showing a force like this, they have to listen now.
Some of you had not met before today. Am I right in understanding that? Mm-hmm. This is your first time for some of you meeting each other.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. No. And Wendy, take a beat. No, because this is your first time. Mm-hmm. You have never before spoken publicly about your experience.
Correct.
I'm going to ask you to share some of your experience now. What were your interactions with Jeffrey Epstein? What can you tell us?
My interactions, if you guys have followed or know Jenna's story, Jenna is one of my best friends from middle school, I would say. And it's pretty much the same story in that aspect.
How old were you?
I was 14.
And how did you first encounter either Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
Through friends. It was very normal, I guess. Through friends.
And where were you? This was in Florida?
Yes.
And did you go to the home in Palm Beach? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, I went to the home in Palm Beach.
Okay. And what were you involved in there? What did he ask you to do?
I'm not really comfortable answering that.
Okay.
It's the same as if you follow the story, you know what I was asked to do.
How did you extract yourself from this abuse?
I moved very quickly. My family moved me out of Florida, so I exited that world and had no access to it, thankfully.
And how did you cope with that trauma?
You just put it behind you and don't think about it.
Is that what you did?
Yeah, until it was brought up that, hey, this is a big deal. In 2019, I think, this is a real big deal, and it's your truth. So here's what's happening, and that's so.
It sounds like you almost buried Jeffrey Epstein's memory, his name.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden, all these years later, here it comes, back into the public spotlight again. What was that like for you?
It's, so I had never really thought about it, I guess, because I just put it behind. You didn't talk about it, didn't think about it, nothing. And it was kind of like, okay, now you have to heal from this. Now you have to address it and face it for the first time ever. Like, this is real.
It's almost like you're in denial, maybe?
No, I just, at that point, like, I'm 30, I had moved on. I had a career, a family, and now it's like, okay, well, it's the truth and it's my truth, so it's time to start processing through that.
Now, understand, too, that they know that Virginia Jeffrey was unalived. So to come out like this is pretty brave, knowing that they could be next, right?
At the time, did you tell any of your family members what had happened to you with Epstein?
At that time, no.
After, did you?
No.
When did you finally tell, if you have, I assume to this point, told family members?
Yes.
Okay.
I told pretty much after everything was in motion.
Okay. Meaning the cases in the investigation.
But I had decided that I was going to pursue it. So I had to come clean to people and be like, hey, I did this and I don't know what's going to happen, but it is true.
Did you reach out to law enforcement at that point?
No. I was contacted through the puzzle pieces that they put together to connect victims to victims to victims. I was on the bulletin board somewhere.
And here you are all these years later, sitting in this room with these other women, with these other family members. Why now? Why are you deciding to speak and to share your story now?
Because not everybody is getting justice.
And because if you don't speak up, the elite who have the means and the power and the money will run right through our youth. You guys, they were recruiting girls from trailer parks. Imagine you're in some rural setting and some creepy rich people come through and they're luring your children in, saying that they're going to give you modeling contracts or you could do this or that. In today's world, most young people will give in to that because they want to be something. This is about as evil as it gets. And yes, there are people on our level that do these kinds of things, but they don't have the means to do it at this level, at this high level of proficiency, and basically taking our children and then using them up like a roll of toilet paper.
And that's not right. Just because you think that some victims in their mind got justice, that it's not right. The everyday person is out there, and that's me. And we're victims. You could be, your neighbor could be a victim, and you don't know it. The person you pass in a grocery store, and they're not talking. And I think that, like she said, power in numbers, even if I'm just counted as statistically in numbers as another victim, that's enough for me. They're not protecting our youth. They're continuing to allow the same thing that happened to us is happening still. Maybe not with them, but it happens, and it's happening. So I took my time in saying something, and I've always been in contact with Jenna. I had a young daughter trying to start my career. It was a big shock to my husband. So I took the time and I said when I felt like I was ready, it's not a secret. It's just something that I didn't normally talk about. Yeah. So now I'm ready to say, you know what? If I am the everyday Joe Schmo and I have this story, I know I want to be able to inspire other people to say, hey, me too. I mean, I hate this. I don't want to say the me too, not trying to do that, but it happened to me too. And I want to support her. She's been doing all this for years alone, and she doesn't deserve to do it alone.
And I know that that's emotional for you. I can see it in you.
And it's also emotional. I haven't met them today, but going through stuff like this, especially as an adult, it brings up a lot of mental health issues. And I've thought of hurting myself and not now, but, over.
So that's not good. She said that because they'll just say she unalived herself, I think this girl's probably in over her head. She doesn't understand how this world works. She's not taking a cue from the Epstein unalived and the Virginia's you're free unalived. And she should not have said that. If anything, she should have said, I would never unalive myself. And then if it does happen, at least her memory will, mean something. But here's the problem. Notice they're still not mentioning names. We need 12 names. Just give us 12 names of these rich and powerful people. If each one of these people named the 12 names, we'd have a really good idea of who to go after, right? For some reason, they've been gagged. They can't say.
The last 6 or so years just going through all this, and it's hard. And I know that if I have those thoughts and Virginia has those thoughts and we're victims, you know, how many more of us do we have to lose?
Why do you want to see more of these documents released publicly?
Accountability, right? I think all this time, we've forgotten how large of a scale this really is. What Virginia did, what these women did, it's unprecedented. This was a global operation. It takes multiple people to make this happen over a span of decades. Those people deserve to be accountable too, okay? And they have that information. They have that information. They have the power to do the right thing. And that is what we're here for.
Are you all satisfied, and then I'll do a couple more show of hands, but are you all satisfied generally with the level of communication that you've had or that your representatives have had from members of Congress? Do you feel like your voices have been heard from members of Congress?
No.
Jess, you're giving me a face. You're saying no way.
My eyebrows don't lie. No, I've heard zero communication. I mean, I don't know about it. I've heard nothing from any representatives personally. I have not.
So can I get a show of hands? Who here is satisfied with the level of contact they've had from Congress? Nobody. Let me ask this. How about the Justice Department? I want to ask a couple of things about what you knew about things that were happening with this case that you're obviously involved with. Show of hands. Did any of you hear from the Justice Department before they released that memo, that 2-page memo earlier this summer? No hands. Were any of you told that Todd Blanche would be speaking with Ghislaine Maxwell prior to that interview over the course of 2 days?
No.
No. Were any of you told about the prison transfer that Ghislaine Maxwell?
No.
Do any of you feel that the DOJ has communicated with you enough this year?
No.
Have any of you had any communication with the DOJ?
No.
Nobody in this room has heard at all from the Department of Justice?
No.
Wow.
Is that surprising to you?
Cover up.
No. It should be.
It should, yeah.
Right?
It should be.
You would think. It's their job. This is the center of this whole entire case. They are the center. Why would you, Ghislaine Maxwell, let's get this right before the narrative changes. And I believe that so strongly that is the intent of her. She's trying to rewrite history.
Yes.
And it was almost like she was given that platform to do that. And
By
that is
Trump.
not acceptable on any terms. She wasn't just this co-conspirator and that was her boyfriend. She was actively participant. She preyed upon these young girls and she used her womanhood to do it.
Yes.
Okay, Virginia said it best. She was vicious. She was a monster. She doesn't deserve any type of platform.
Or yoga.
But how did she do it? See, this is too general. Like, let's get into the details of the case. She drove in a car through trailer parks and recruited young girls. She literally was a groomer.
Yoga and Pilates.
That's a reference to the prison camp she's now in.
Yeah. I mean, it's absurd.
Yeah.
It's absurd what's happening.
Liz, I have to ask you, what did you think when you heard about, let me start with the interview that the Deputy Attorney General, that Todd Blanche, conducted over the course of a couple of days with Ghislaine Maxwell. When you heard that was being done, when you saw that transcript, when you heard her voice in that audio, what was that like for you?
I hope that I'm speaking for all of us and saying we are willing to do whatever we need to find justice. And we're willing to talk about what happened to us so that the public knows what the truth is and not the lies of someone who was convicted of this crime, whose freedom is being held in the balance, and who has their own motives to both protect others and protect herself.
And Lisa, to you, as somebody who attended Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, or at least parts of it.
Yes, I did.
The interview, the release of that audio, the prison transfer. What did you make of all that as it was happening over the course of the summer?
I was just disgusted by it. It just, like she said, she was an abuser. There was one point when Jeffrey had called me to go meet with her after I had met her at a function, at a charity event. I mean, thank God I didn't go. But just the climate in New York at that time, everybody knew that she was working with him or had something that wasn't right with her. And so much has come out since then that we know, her great involvement. I mean, some even say that she was the one that was the mastermind of a lot of it. I'm not sure about that, but regardless, she is the abuser, and why are we so concerned with how she feels about things and her opinions about Trump or anybody else? She's a convicted felon, and so we need to move on from, highlighting her as someone that we should be listening to.
So what would you say to the Department of Justice as they were pursuing these conversations with her?
They have emails, they have flight logs, they have a list they've compiled, right? And I feel like if they're not going to release this list to the public that everybody wants to see, we want to know who it is. A lot of us survivors know. We've been compiling lists of our own, and we have so many other survivors. Please come forward, and we'll compile our own list and seek justice for, on our own. I mean, I think that's what's going to happen next.
Are there other prominent individuals that you saw when you were with Jeffrey Epstein and others who you think should be?
Oh boy, finally get to the point. Let's just
law enforcement.
Well, let me get this straight. Jeffrey wasn't doing this for himself. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. The parties, the charity events, on the island, everyone that he was involved with, not everybody, because obviously there were people that didn't know about what he was doing. But there were many people that knew what he was doing that were involved in the sex trafficking ring.
The plane was named after an abused girl. Right there is your clue, your first clue, right? If you're around a guy whose airplane is named after then chances are, and he's flying around with a bunch of underage girls, chances are he's probably doing something wrong.
Your sister described Ghislaine Maxwell as more evil than Jeffrey Epstein. That was something that she said publicly.
Yes.
And so I have to ask in the context of what is also in the...
Wow, she still didn't name names, did she? She asked her specifically, and she still won't name names.
Ether at the moment, this idea of a potential pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. How would you feel if she were to be pardoned, given your sister's comments about Maxwell?
I think it's the biggest slap in the face for us as a family, and to these girls and anybody that's been impacted by her. I don't think 20 years is enough.
Yeah. You're referring to her sentence.
Yeah.
I think that people that are able to put that kind of evil out into the world should be either locked away forever. Our justice system, I think, is not harsh enough on something of that levity. And I know that if my sister were here with her sisters right now, she wouldn't be happy about it. We're not happy about it. We woke up and even when she was moved, I was like, I don't understand how the system works. I also...
Whoa, that guy is like a monarch pin on. Whoa, like monarch programming.
So after the fact, when the transcripts came out, I didn't see anything that she added to the narrative that would get her that move. I don't understand how that kind of evil can be.
It's because your boy Trump is guilty, brother. Wake up.
Rewarded.
Let me do a show of hands. Who would like to see President Trump definitively rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell? Every single one of you.
Yeah.
Marika, are you frustrated he hasn't done so yet?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just toying with the idea is an insult.
What would you say to the president if he could hear you right now about this, about the potential pardon, about the case, about all of this that's in the ether right now?
Would ask why he's putting so much attention on convicted criminals and why he seems to value them more than us.
Does anybody else have thoughts on that? Lisa,
That's a
Jenna?
good question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say it's so big right now because this administration ran their campaign on this. These were promises that they had made. And if you're in that level, in that capacity, it's your diligence, it's your duty to do what your constituents, the American public is asking you for. So that's all we're asking.
And it's not just one side or the other. This is a nonpartisan issue. Everyone is asking, even his base is asking.
Has anybody in this room heard anything from anybody at the White House or have your representatives?
No.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No. No.
Or former President Clinton?
No.
Are you glad there is a renewed...
So obviously the people who were involved with Trump and Clinton were not invited onto this panel. Now, understand the left has a lot to protect as well. They're implicated as well. So this is a controlled release. So they only invited people who probably didn't have any, involvement with Trump or Clinton. Because otherwise they'd be on the panel, wouldn't they? And remember, these victims, there's only 9 of them, or there's actually 6, and then the 2 brothers and the sister-in-law. They represent only a very small sliver of the total overall victims. The victims that know about all the presidents that were involved and all this stuff, they are not being heard because the left is also covering for their side while trying to wash this away. This is heartbreaking.
Huge spotlight on this. Is there anything good that you could see coming from this, or is this reopening these incredibly traumatic moments for you? Is it a mixed bag? I wonder how you feel about that.
Okay, I've seen enough. I knew it. I just knew it. So I am back in the chat. Oh, you know what we should do is look down in the comment section and see, because this is what they do. This is a cover up. Again, now I'm not blaming the victims. They were hand selected, victims that they knew maybe didn't see Trump or the Clintons. And anyone who did see the Trump and Clintons weren't invited on this panel, likely, is the way all this went down. It's pretty obvious to me. There's, look, and here's the dead giveaway. Why didn't they ask about Prince Andrew? Why didn't she bring this up in the interview? Because it's washing it all away. It's putting it all back on Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Let's go down here and let's go down to the comments. 493 comments. Here you go. Would all you TDS folks just drop it, please? So understand that a lot of these comments are going to be AI generated, or it's going to be politically motivated. They're going to blame one side or the other. You're not going to see any comments that say, oh, both sides were involved. Why aren't we getting the whole truth? Why aren't they names on both sides? You're not going to see any of these kinds of comments below a story like this because it's a cover up. So this one's the closest one to it. It seems like if they don't release all the files, it is more proof, as if we need more of the two-tiered U.S. justice system. The rich and the powerful from all political ideologies have their own set of rules. That's 100% correct. Notice how no one's thumbsing up those videos and thumbsing up these comments that are speaking the truth. So let's go back into the chat. Let me get your guys' thoughts and then we'll kind of end the show. I know it was a long show today, but I wanted you guys to see most of the entirety of that interview. Let's make this bigger. Okay. Yes, there are thousands of victims. We only get 6 handpicked victims. And none of them knew Clinton or Trump? Come on. Epstein's brother said if people knew the truth, there wouldn't be a 2016 election. We should be talking about disgusting things going on in the tents. Is that an AI comment, Brent? That makes absolutely no sense at all. Wow. Hey, Mark, there's friends in truth. Mark, morning, brother. Tire system, a total fraud since Pilgrims. First illegal takeover of this land was responsible for murders of Native Americans. I agree 100%. Truth is always watered down. Yes, it is. Okay, more distraction. Some believe egg stain is in Israel. I wouldn't doubt it. Bill Gates visited Epstein's jail. Yeah, exactly. Why didn't the interviewer completely drop the ball, or she did it intentionally to cover up? Didn't ask any of the other names. It wasn't just about Trump and Clinton. What about Bill Gates? What about the guy in the wheelchair? What about David Blaine? What about all the other people in the flight logs? I would have rather had a discussion talking about specific things that happened and specific people that they met and saw on the island and in Palm Beach. Why didn't she bring up anyone on the island? Were you on the island? She didn't even ask the victims that. It's almost as if they only handpicked victims that didn't go on the island and didn't see any prominent people. Like, that's ridiculous, you guys. Ridiculous. So I'll leave it at that. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll likely see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Much love.